Hello everyone, my name is Frank Macri, and I'm here to host the highlight reel for CM225 Multimedia Field Productions. Right, so now I'm sitting down with Aaron, who was one of the people who did a lot of stuff for The Current. So can you talk to me about that, about the show, your role?
I was one of the main editors alongside with one of the other people in the group, and it really broadened my experience and made me more like attention to detail. And so this class and this project and how much editing I did really helped me get further in my what career I want to be in.
And one of the big highlights about The Current is that, everyone who was on it talked about so many wildly different things. So what was it like being an editor for all these different forms of media that had almost nothing to do with each other?
It definitely was a little challenging because you had to get this the vibe for the same throughout the episode, but I just made sure to flow through the entire episode and make it not look awkward for all the different types of topics that we handled.
Yeah, thank you so much for talking about The Current.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right, and now I'm sitting down with Bella, who did a lot of work on Daylight. So what'd you do? Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, so thank you for having me. I was the head scriptwriter for Daylight, and I did a lot of work on the teleprompter behind the scenes, which was a new role for me. I'm usually more behind the technical aspect, but more so referring to the camera rather than script writing, so it was interesting to learn a new role.
So were there any challenges on script writing for that show? Because everything you were writing, the host had to say out loud. So did it change your writing process or anything? Or?
It was just constant changing while we were working on the production just to adapt the script more to what fit better with the host or what fit better to the vision that we were trying to push at the end. So throughout the entire process, you have to be okay with making changes and not sticking to the original idea.
All right. That sounds really insightful. Thank you so much for coming on, Bella.
Thank you so much for having me.
And now I'm sitting down with Ariana, who is one of the two hosts of Daylight. So, you were sitting there and, reading all that. And what kind of experience did you get out of just being the host of that news show?
So I am actually minoring in broadcasting. So this is my first time working with a teleprompter. I did a little bit of sideline reporting before, but it definitely made me feel more comfortable with the teleprompter and being in front of a camera. And I'm so excited to see what next semester brings. I'm taking also 3 different broadcasting classes. So this is a good little blip to get me into the real world.
Yeah. And with you trying the teleprompter for the first time, all those words were hitting you so quick. Was it challenging? Were you always sure of what you were talking about, or did you get to a point where you're just reading words, not knowing what you're saying? What was it like trying that for the first time?
So for the first time, it was what the heck is this? What I realized is that once I reread my script over and over again, I had an idea of what to say. But I'm a better person talking on the fly, and I hate a script. So that was my struggle. Is I would just want to say my own words. I wouldn't want to read on the teleprompter.
All right. Well, that sounded like a really good experience for you. Thank you for coming on, Ariana.
Thank you so much, Frank.
All right. So, Kenzie, you were one of the people hosting that interview with Miladies, and just tell us a little bit, what was it like meeting an entrepreneur who's been in the field for just so many years?
Yeah, it was a great time talking with her. Like you said, she's had so much experience, and I feel like I really connected to her personally because she's really a role model for me in the sense that she has brought so many aspects and so many different skills from so many different types of media production, and she's made a lifestyle for herself just by having so many roles and positions in the different fields.
Well, thank you for coming on and talking to us about your experience, Kenzie.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
And now I'm sitting down with the professor of our class, Professor Golda, who during this class was running his own podcast series called Activate. So what was it like doing that?
Activate happened, I named it a long time ago, and we've always used that name for different projects across the years for working with charities and organizations. And as I was leaving one of my classes this semester, I stopped by the Edgerton Theater, and in the lobby was the volunteer fair, where students would go and see what kind of organizations they'd like to volunteer with or intern with. And I started interviewing everybody. And I got clips and I got stills, and I invited every charity that was there to come back and have a podcast with me. So about 5 of them accepted over the course of the semester, which was just the right amount for me to handle. And I brought them in, we sat them down here in the studio, and we talked about what their charities do, why they're important, and why students should get involved.
All right. And, it's great that you had that experience running that podcast series. And, now I got to ask, what was it like running the multimedia field production class this semester?
Oh, that's a whole different story. But no, this class has been fantastic. It's been very productive. It's nice to walk into a class, be able to talk to students as adults and say, here's what our goals are. How do we achieve those goals? And then students stepping up and actually making those things happen. That's really what a college class should be. And you guys nailed it.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing everything with us.
Sure. I'm hoping everybody has a good time at the Max and it has a great and safe holiday season.
And now I'm sitting down with Lucas, who was one of the 2 people who planned on stage. So I just want to know, what was it like running that show?
Yeah, I mean, on stage was a ton of fun. I'm very involved in the theater program, and my co-host Sadie is very involved in the dance program. So it was really interesting to hear that other perspective from a different performing art, as well as it was also really interesting to be able to share, what I do and what my specialty is, and really like collaborate with someone else in the creative field.
And speaking of shared experiences, there was one class where Jay Ignashevsky came in to talk about his experience with George Lucas and Mel Brooks. So, if you don't mind me asking, what was it like hearing what that veteran had to say about the industry?
Yeah, I mean, Jay was awesome when he came in. He was super nice guy, super down to earth. And he really seemed interested in talking to us about his experiences. And I actually did sound for that podcast, and that was just a great experience. Like listening to what he had to say and his experience on, the biggest movie franchise of all time was awesome. That was great.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in, Lucas.
Yeah, thank you for having me.